Hello and welcome to our video presentation. Thank you for taking time to join us. Our group has focused on conducting a community assessment of vulnerable population of unsheltered adults in Greater Toronto Area. Let me introduce to our team. We have Kavita, Radha Yangden, Sandeep Kaur, Rosalind Wilson, and Shalini. We hope this presentation provides meaningful insight into the health needs of this population and the importance of community-based nursing approaches. Introduction.
Hello and welcome to our community assessment presentation. I am Rosalind and I'm here with Kavita and Shalini.
Hi everyone, we are excited to share what we have learned through this project.
Yes, our group selected the vulnerable population of unsheltered adults in Greater Toronto Area or GTA. Why we chose this community?
We chose these tools because they give us a full picture what's working, what is missing, and what is the possibilities.
Right, and the city of Toronto reports that over 10,000 people experience homelessness each night. That number is heartbreaking.
This issue really connects to our course thesis like marginalization and health inequity and social exclusion. These individuals often falls through the cracks of the system. Defining the community. When we define this community, we are talking about adults aged 18 and older in GTA who do not have stable housing.
That include people living on the street, in tents, or in compartments, or in temporary shelters.
And demographically, many are indigenous or living with mental illness or substance use disorders. Poverty plays a big role too, as highlighted by the Public Health Agency of Canada.
Types of assessment.
To assess this community, we choose to use a needs assessment.
We'd support this with windshield surveys, interviews with the service providers, and environmental scans. These helps us to capture both visual and lived experience.
And this approach is backed by the Chapter 4 in COSIR with other authors in 2018, which recommends using the qualitative and quantitative method in community health nursing.
Why this assessment?
We chose this population because unsheltered adults in the GTA are facing increasing challenges, especially with housing insecurities, mental health, and access to health care.
For example, windshield surveys show where unsheltered populations tend to gather, and interviews with outreach workers reveal deeper needs than number alone can show.
These methods align with the Community Health Nursing of Canada Standards of Practice 2024, especially when it comes to engaging with community and using evidence-based approach. Capacity building, strength and challenges. GTA does have several great services in place like Dasik Hall, Fred Victor Center, and St. Michael Inner City Health Program.
But even with those services, barrier remains like limited shelter beds, stigma, and a lack of cultural appropriate care.
That is why capacity building is key. It's not just about adding resources, it's about advocating for transitional housing, expanding harm reduction services, and training staff in trauma-informed care.
Exactly. We need to go beyond short-term fixes and start building long-term inclusive solutions. Stakeholders and gatekeepers.
Hi everyone, I am Sandeep.
And I'm Radha. For this part of our community assessment project, we will be talking about stakeholders and gatekeepers, a key component in understanding how to support unsheltered adults in GTA.
So, Radha, before starting, can you describe the main stakeholders we have used in our assessment?
Great question, Sandeep. So, some of the primary stakeholders that we included are City of Toronto, public health nurses, NGOs, faith-based groups, and most importantly, individuals with lived experience of homelessness. Their perspective are critical to developing programs that are truly responsive to community needs. So, Sandeep, can you explain who are the gatekeepers and why they matter?
Absolutely. So, gatekeepers are individuals or groups who influence access to services or population. And in our case, they include shelter managers, community leaders, local policymakers, and even healthcare administrators. They often control access to resources or influence decisions about service delivery. That's why it's so important to engage with them thoughtfully.
That's true.
And Rada, how should we approach communication with stakeholders and gatekeepers in this case?
So it's essential that our communication is respectful, inclusive, and transparent. So according to the CNO's Code of Conduct, nurses are expected to advocate for the clients, maintain professional communication, and build genuine partnership with community members. This helps foster trust and encourages collaboration. And Sandeep, why is early engagement with stakeholders and gatekeepers so important?
Because it builds the foundation for a community informed, ethical, and sustainable approach. When stakeholders and gatekeepers feel heard and valued from the beginning, they are more likely to support and contribute to the success of the project. And ultimately, that leads to the better outcomes for people we are trying to help.
Exactly. Working in partnership with community ensures our assessment isn't just theoretical, it's grounded in real needs and guided by those with first hand knowledge.
Ethics and advocacy.
So now the question is why ethics are so important when working with vulnerable population like unsheltered adults.
Because ethical care doesn't mean just doing no harm, it also means ensuring informed consent, cultural safety, and protecting individuals from exploitation. So, especially when they are already marginalized.
Exactly. As nurses, our responsibility is not just clinical, it's also advocating for systemic change. The CNA Code of Ethics remind us to uphold human dignity, equity, and social justice in every aspect of care.
Whose voices are missing?
Now it brings us to an important question: whose voices are we missing? Often, the very people who are affected and those who experience homelessness are excluded from decision making and rarely consulted in shaping the programs or policies that are meant to support them.
And to address this gap, we propose participatory approaches like community focus groups or advisory committees that include people with lived experience. Because their insights are not only valuable, they are essential. Because without their input, we risk making assumptions and missing the root cause of the issues we are trying to solve here.
Yeah, so ethics and advocacy aren't just theoretical, they show up in how we include or fail to include the voices that matter.
Group learning and conclusion.
So finally, we reflected on what we learned as a group. Shalini pointed out that community assessment isn't just a checklist, it's meaningful and ongoing process of listening, understanding, and advocating.
And through this project, we have also grown in how we collaborate and communicate. We learn the value of teamwork, ethical reflection, and keeping the community at the center of our nursing practice.
We hope this presentation highlights how vital it is to include all the voices, uphold ethics, and work together for real change.
Thank you for watching.
These are the resources we used. Thank you.